Well, good evening. Today, whatever it is, how are we all going? This is part one, freaking take two. I just did a whole segment of this and realised that my phone storage was just about out and just died on me. Great, bloody great. So I've had to put all of it back together and start fucking again. Excuse my French, I can't really help that too much. I'm Australian, so bear with me with that one. Right, step one. Whatever flavour you have, usually it's my patience in a can. That's my step one. I've already got one here I prepared earlier. Right, now the next step is, I wouldn't usually have the top section off, okay? It's not really going to do much in this video, it doesn't really matter. It has something to do with a particular idiot that lost the other 3 bolts that go to it. Good job. Hey, I found one. It's still a win. You know, just make sure this bloody phone's... Yep, she's still good. Right, so now while it's in the vise like this... Oh, and also, before you go jumping ahead, just woo, you know, slow down. Just take your time with that. First thing I'd do is tape up all my lines, where there's fuel, you know, tape them up, give the pump a good wash, you know, degrease it, get all the shit off it. It's annoying trying to work with a dirty pump. You know, terrible. Anyway, so I do that. And then also, anything I'm going to take off, like this sort of stuff here, just so you know when you're putting them back together, you know it's precisely going back where it's supposed to be. I'd put an engraving mark, you know, so you can see the line on the top of this for your throttle. You know, put a mark there. Just makes life so much easier when you put it back together. And that little sucker, she only, you know, it only moves a certain distance anyway, so you sort of got to know. Just mark it. Trust me on that one. There's a little seal inside here. You pop that out. You can, yeah, there's a seal you got to replace in there. That leaks occasionally. It's not one of the main ones. Like actually, one of your main ones that leaks is this one that goes in here. That was the last pump I fixed up. That seal went. That's a new seal, obviously. And the other main culprit is the seal between the head, which is what I'm going to do now. Like, I'm not going to reseal it because my air compressor I don't really want to run at the moment because it's 11 o'clock at night and I don't really want to piss the neighbours off that much. I think they're already on edge already, so we won't do that. Yeah, don't smoke. Alright, so while she's in the vise, using the main bracket, I loosen everything. Not just what you're taking off, you know. So I want to loosen that. Loosen all the injection pipes. Get a fancy name for it yet, tell me. Alright. And also I'll flip it up now because it's sort of, I've already loosened it, you know. I prepared earlier. Mainly because I pretty much just did the whole job without even knowing that the camera was not running. Great. So, anyway, try again. Right. So now that's all loose. Flip that sucker over. Hopefully you can see that clearly. I'm just going to use the nut on the front to hold it into my vise. Once it's nice and tight, don't hurt anything. Right. That's that done. Sick. Yeah, won't say that. Right. So I just loosen, you know, just don't take anything out yet. Just as long as it's all loose. And while I'm here, you can obviously see. Well, you obviously know about the copper washer that goes in between this one, which has already been replaced, but I'll just quickly show you while it's there. absolutely bang. Alright, don't have to worry about that. This piece here, you need a special triangular socket, which I do have, but I can't find it. So, and that's already got a new O-ring inside there, which is pretty basic. It's standard O-ring. Alright, goes in there. As I said, I'm not going to touch that right now. It's mainly, while I have it in the vise, in the actual main bracket, is to undo these because they're quite tight. So I use a socket with a big flathead. Use a drill, just, you can feel for it a bit more, you know, you don't want to slip that shit up. And a 24mm, you know, to crack that open as well, just so it's, as I said, so it's loose, because you take that out, it's got a plunger, it's got a little O-ring in there too you've got to replace, but you can do that when it's off. So what we're going to do, let's check that, yep, camera's sort of good. Alright, loosen these little suckers. Let's start with the head first. I don't know why, must be just a male thing. It's always good. Take the head off. Yeah, bear with me nose too. I know it's annoying, bear with it. It's annoying me just as much, so you don't have to look at me in that tone of voice. Now the reason why I have it also flip it is because when I take this off, there's two springs in here that press up against the governor. So you pull that out, you're going to lose those springs. It's pretty much the only thing you're going to lose. Oh, there's another two. I'll show you. Alright, it's hard to explain, so we'll just show you. And also, when you put this back together, always make sure that your stop solenoid is at the top of the pump. Top. It's an easy mistake. Anyway, and this one should be pretty easy because I just had to put it all back together, and usually when I put stuff back together I use grease to hold it in there so it doesn't fall out when I'm putting it, because obviously you're putting it in upside down. So use a bit of grease, it holds shit in there. It's great. Alright. Yeah, and also I wouldn't take these out. I take them out in the end because they have a little valve inside them and a spring. Take them out now, you could, well, definitely going to lose it, okay? Alright, so just gently take that out. Look at that. Yes, the grease has done a wonderful job, apart from one of those spaces. See, obviously they come out. You can see I put grease in there to hold them in. Put grease on both. There's two little washers in here. I think I probably missed a bit on that one. Right. So always, and put everything back in the same way, you know. Just double check that. Sort of just take it. I mean, even if you take photos as you're doing it, that way, you know, just makes life a lot easier. That's what you want, simple. Right, so that's those. And everything, I'd be pulling everything apart. Just do it one at a time though. Don't rush. One at a time. That way you know how it goes back together. Yeah. Right, so here's these two little springs I was telling you about, which push up against the governor plate. This is their only job. There's also a little filter in here, which I did replace, but the kit that I've got now, the tight ass bastards did not send me a new filter. With the kit, I mean, it's already gold anyway, so I'm not really that worried about it. And that sucker there, that's that O-ring. Right, that's the one, the main culprit that leaks. So you want to clean all this up as much as you can. Like, as I said, I'll be using my air compressor, blasting it, brake cleaner, clean, dustproof, you know, not dirty rags. We want a clean rag, fellas. And Ladettes, sorry. One particular one, but she's mainly just stalking me for some unknown reason. We won't mention any names. Kyra. Right. So now that's off, I suppose we can, I'll start taking the guts of this out. I could just quickly take one of these out and show you. It's easier to take them out upside down. Ooh, yeah, exactly. Look at that, I just lost it. It's alright, I have spare parts. Different story for you guys. And that's nothing anyway, it's only just the little brass washers that go inside. That's all that just fell out then. The main things you don't want to lose is those valves that just fell out right there. And you want to take all those out and clean them, you know, because they're very precise. You know, you want them, that's beautiful. Spinning, not stuck. A lot of these get stuck together. Bad, doesn't work properly. Alright. And sort of keep them to the same one too, don't rush. Alright. That's it, there's your spring. And you've got another little, whatever you call that goes on the top as well. Alright. So that spring goes into your valve, and then that goes inside like that. Alright. You make sure it's spotlessly clean. And even when you put them back together, put a bit of Zinger oil, engine oil, doesn't matter, it's going to burn anyway. It's diesel, they're pretty good. Right, so that's that part. You clean all that. And as I said with this one, you probably could get a vice grip on there. You know, replace the seal that's inside here. I always replace that brass washer on this piece. But, right, then you got this piece as well. You take that sucker out, it should have a little plunger inside there. And another O-ring, rubber O-ring you got to replace as well. And a spring. I forgot about that little spring. That's probably why I told myself not to take that out whilst the damn thing's upside down. Okay, tiny little bloody springs. And you want this absolutely spotless. You put it back. Okay, and that's that rubber O-ring. You can see that's already starting to get flattened. Yeah. So anyway, obviously that's your plunger. So your stop solenoid, you know, shuts the fuel off, engine turns off. It's pretty simple. Clean everything too. Blast that shit out with some brake cleaner. Blow it out with your bloody air compressor after you're finished with it before you put it all back together. And as I said, just be generous. Be generous with the oil. And lay it out better than what I'm doing. I sort of know where it all goes, so it doesn't really bother me. Anyway. Right. So, the old mate that was commenting before, I'm pretty sure that was your culprit there. Right, that O-ring. So just be delicate when you slide that O-ring back over. Obviously oil it up before you slide it in. And clean everything. Smick, no dust. And that's pretty, like, you know, if that's where it's leaking from, just this area, that's all I'd be doing, is just cleaning up this area, replacing that rubber O-ring, right? You wouldn't really have to take any of this stuff out, but I'm going to take it out anyway. So you've got your two nice big springs. Alright, your governor, when you're putting this back together, because that'll pop out, that's normal. It's just tedious, you've got to slide that back on there. Okay, take that out, I'll show you. Careful too, because you don't, this one's, oh no, still in there, bloody ripper. It's got this little shim slash spacer. The grease has worked very well. There we go. Don't lose that. You know, that's it. So anyway, and yeah, you want to, all these holes, just everything, all these, blast them out with some brake cleaner. Just clean everything, make sure it's spotlessly clean before you put it back. This keyway here, obviously you can see it lines up with this. And also you've got to line this hole up with your governor so it locks back in, and you can feel it lock back in. Don't forget to put that bloody spacer back in there either. That's a real pain in the arse, that one. That's definite. So you can sort of feel it locks in. All I do is pull that up and it locks into that. Put your springs on, slide your head back over. It's pretty simple. Okay, so that's that part of it. Now, just quickly wipe my hands. Now the next bit, I mean, it's good to take all this apart because it's good to clean it out anyway. Like, I'd do that anyway. Just clean it all. It needs to be cleaned. Alright, and the way this goes back together, obviously you've got another spring that goes in behind here. Yes. And this one also, if you can see, there's a line there on that side. That lines up with that line when you put it back in. If you put it back in on the other side, you have troubles trying to slide your head back down. It just doesn't work. So just make sure this lines up with that line. As I said, clean hands when you put it all back together. Doesn't matter when you pull it apart, clean it back. You put it back together, clean hands, marvellous. Alright, so then you've got this other one that comes out here. Gently does it. Now that only goes in that way because if you put it in this way, the spring's not going to fit, you know. It's common sense, okay? So that spring goes in there. Right. Leave that out. And also the next thing is there is a little, it's a clip. Right. Probably won't be able to get it with these, so I'll need a little flathead screwdriver. Yes, I do. So give me a sec. I'll get a flathead screwdriver. Stick the key in, obviously. It doesn't even have to be a flathead screwdriver. I'll just find something little. Just a. Oh, yeah, luckily. Put your hand over that when you do this. There's a bit of tension in that one, right? Luckily, I just seen where that went, so I won't worry about that. Plus, I've got a spare one too. I don't really want to be buggering around trying to find. I've seen roughly where it went. It's probably up there where the frickin' bolts are. Alright. Anyway. All that does is... I can't know if you can see that because my bloody head's in the way. It releases this pin. Okay. You want to take that pin out. Fitly. Yes, don't lose that. And it goes in one way, so it's got a little head on it. Right, now that unlocks. So you can slide that out now, see? You can take her out. Try not to scratch. You know, just be gentle as you can. You don't really want to scratch that stuff up like I just did. Maybe even just use what I did before. I'll use my screwdriver. Right, come out. All that is, that's going to get up to the next stage, which it sort of slots in. It goes into your, there's a plunger down inside here. But, as I said, I usually would take the plunger out first. We're here, it's you know, it's out. So anyway, let's light stuff up. Maybe not so good of an idea to have turkeys before you do this. These, be careful, because they're like a 3-piece. I'll show you. And the same thing again, you want to make sure that's all free. You know, you put it, clean the hell out of all that. Oh, these are beautiful. It's machined so nicely. Right, so take all those out. Try to put them back where they come from. It's also another good idea. And so like the better you have clean workshop, nice area, you know, where you can actually see, even if you do drop something, you're going to bloody find it. Because that is a pain in the ass, because there's some real small components that come out of that. But as I even said, I mean, if it's just a seal problem, you just got a leak, I wouldn't even be doing half of this, you know. I mean, you can take that off, replace the bloody O-ring, leave your pump like this, not on its side, like this. None of that shit's going to fall out. You're not going to lose any springs like some dumbass just did. Right. Because when this goes back in here, there's a little actuator. Sort of does that sort of motion, right? The plunger down in here. So I've got to take that plunger out anyway, because I've got to replace it. There's 2 rubber O-ring seals on that. So that might be a job for tomorrow. So I think after my stuff up from the last video, where the camera decided to not work, I might have to do part 2 tomorrow morning, and it's getting late. And yes, I'll just leave that. So yeah, and just make sure when you do take all these out, it's probably even a good idea to, like I use these while I have these trays. You know, sort of lay all the stuff out, put some signal oil, motor oil. Don't let them get in the air, fellas. You know, the machine parts, they don't like air. You know, they rust up real quick. You can even see, it wasn't that long ago I had that off, and that's where he started rusting up. He's terrible. Oh yes, don't forget about those washers as well. Make sure you put those on when you're putting it back together. Alright, so that would be bad. Definitely bad. You can see, I'll just show you while I take those out. Take another one out, it's not going to hurt it. God, that did hurt it. Careful, you know, you don't want to lose any shit down inside there. Easy. Yep. Easy. It's probably a good idea to take that plunger out first, because there'll be no pressure on that shaft or the... Throw my head in the way. Yeah, there's going to be no pressure on this, you know, because the plunger's out. You know, I'd be also checking that plunger, but we'll get to that in the next video. Also, as I said, make sure that those washers... Get your damn head out of the way, Louis. Make sure that those washers go on the outside, okay? Outside. Don't put them on the inside. This is how they go. I mean, as I said, take a video, take some photos. You know, makes life a lot easier. You can see right there. Beautiful. Working beautiful. Right. Looks like a complete mess and a bit of a cluster, but anyway, that's the main part of that one. See if I can slide. I don't think I can. Oh yeah. See, now I should be able to pull this out. Right. I'm going to have to take the governor out to get that one out. But yeah, that's the main reason why I like to have it up. Alright, because you're not going to lose half that shit. I mean, you're not going to lose that, because it's not, that ain't going to come out until the governor comes out. Which is pretty easy to get that governor out anyway. Not too hard at all. Let's see. Yeah, and as I said, try not to scratch. Don't scratch stuff. Bad. And when you're putting it all back together, oil, blast that shit and clean it. Well, this one's actually not looking too bad. I was actually a bit worried that that last little washer that fell down inside here would have done some major damage anyway. That's why I'm not really being very gentle with this one. So just make sure you're gentle, you know, you're pulling yours apart. The same thing again with these ones. To get that governor out, you're going to need that special little toolkit. You can get it on eBay. I think it's 20, 40 bucks. It's pretty cheap, you know, which undoes all your governors and all that sort of shit. But I'm like, I don't really have to take this out. That's working fine, you know. We'll blast it out with some brake cleaner, blow it all out. You know. And I'll definitely take this this plunger out here. Right. Clean all that, make sure that's... I'll show you that in the next video. Okay, so calm down. Alright, well that's pretty much it for part one. Yeah, I'll get everything ready. It's like, see, that doesn't worry me, losing them things. I've got to put new ones in there anyway. Just keep in mind. But there's a lot of shit that's going to fall out of this pump. So just one at a time. And also make sure, as I said, with certain things like your fuel through, you know, mark it. So then when you put it back in, it's exactly where it was. That's what you pretty much want with everything. Just put it back exactly the way it was. Anyway, that'll do for me part one. Now I've got to yeah. Oh, look at that. I can see a little bit of damage done on the wall here. This slight little scratching. I reckon that was from that washer. It's not bad. I don't think it's going to really cause too much problems. But that certainly wasn't there before. And it certainly wasn't from me. Alright. Anyway, you have a good night, day, afternoon, you know, whatever. You know what I mean. So here's.